And welcome to today's Montana Sportscast podcast. Joining me is Blake Hempstead. Blake, how we doing out west?
It's good. Kind of a little bit of snow yesterday. It's nice out today. All that stuff is going away. Had a good weekend. Chasing my kids, everybody, every parent my age, I think whether they're a hockey parent, a basketball parent, anything like that. My youngest, we've talked about it before. He's a ball boy for Montana State. Him, his mother, one of his friends, and two grandmothers, they went down and watched Montana State. I took my daughter to Missoula. She had a basketball tournament. We finished that. We took off, flew up to Pablo real quick and watched some divisional wrestling championships, came back and then got to catch the N7 game where they unveiled the uniforms, or they've worn before, but they wore the uniforms against Northern Arizona, got a big win. My son and my daughter love that. Both universities they continue to put out great product, and yeah, real happy with our state from last weekend.
Yeah, it was a good weekend for sure. What do you got for basketball?
Basketball. What we always start with
Is there
Anaconda.
is there
Hey,
anything going on?
yeah, that's
They're
right.
A. They're at the top of the
Is the
alphabet.
first. A is the first at the top of the alphabet, and they're tops where I'm talking about. So, Anaconda got two big wins. Only had one game last week. Their schedule was really front loaded. So, and it was the rivalry game against Deer Lodge. Anaconda got the season sweep against them. And what it did was it allowed Anaconda to advance into the divisional tournament. There's 5 teams, only 4 spots. So the Anaconda boys, who missed out on the divisional last year, they punched their ticket to get into the divisional tournament. And you hear this said about bowl games in college football all the time. You know, the more games you can play, the better you are off, building your program for the future. So Anaconda, they did a great thing for the boys, got over that hump, and they'll try to make some upsets and get on there. Anaconda girls, we saw a real change with what the girls do offensively, and it's a nice change. The girls are buying into the new offense, buying into the program a little bit, and they looked really good against Deer Lodge and against a team that they really blew out the first time. And Deer Lodge has improved too, so good for them over there on that girls side. And we'll talk more about a couple of the individuals that the Deer Lodge has really depended on.
Okay.
The district tournament, it looks like both teams, Deer Lodge and Arlee, will have to earn their way into the divisional. This is the final week of the regular season, and then I believe it's on Monday and Tuesday where those divisional play or district playing games will happen. So we'll know next week exactly when those are going down.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about you got your Western B tournament going to be there. What are you kind of forecasting for teams coming into there?
So we already know the 4 on. Well, we know 3 of the 4. Kind of have an idea on the girls' side as well, but I mean, it's why they play the games. I mean, it's why it's why Lewistown almost lost to Lockwood a couple weeks ago. So, but Anaconda, Florence, and Loyola, those 3 schools will definitely be at the divisional, and then Arlee and Deer Lodge will be battling out for the 4th seed in those tournaments. Don't count out Arlee, the boys' side. They went winless 2 years ago. Went winless, knocked off Deer Lodge in the divisional championship game, pushed Lodge Grass in the semifinal. I mean, Arlee has the ability to, there's a different type of basketball up there. They get it in their heads that they can't miss. And yeah, Arlee is a real tough outcome tournament time. So, and that could go the same way for the girls as well. There's some pretty good athletes on there. So not counting anybody out, but on the other side, obviously you're going to have both Thompson Falls teams probably make it. Both Big Fork teams absolutely are going to make it. Eureka in the boys' side probably going to make it. Girls, I'm not sure. I haven't seen Eureka, but then you have Plains and Troy. It's going to be a battle. They have an extra team up there in the 7B, so their district playing is a little bit different. But We'll have a better idea middle of next week on how that is all going to shake out, and we can go through the brackets and kind of get a feel for that. But this is the first divisional tournament Anaconda has held since before I was born. Um,
Oh,
you know,
really?
they used to hold. Oh yeah, they used to hold some District 12C tournaments and stuff like that. But as far as a true divisional tournament, I don't remember one. So
Huh.
the refurbished Memorial Gymnasium, it's going to be put to capacity, and I know there's a lot of people that are, you know, they're going to be volunteers and really make this look and feel like a true divisional championship. And hopefully it just plays host to some of the great games that we're going to expect to see moving into the state tournament.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, just kind of looking through the records and the power polls and the standings and that kind of stuff. It stacking up to be an awful good tournament, especially Friday and Saturdays.
And I said this during one of our last broadcasts. I do believe both state champions will come out of the Western B divisional. I truly believe
Yeah,
that. Whether it's Loyola or Big Fork on the boys' side, and I just think it's going to take somebody's A plus game to beat the Big Fork girls.
yeah, I agree with you. And then you got on the girls' side, you got Thompson Falls up there too. Or they, I mean, they're still rolling pretty good as well.
Absolutely right. Anaconda beat them earlier this year. They beat them with McKenna Patrick, but Anaconda has slowly gained momentum, gaining points per game ever since, they lost their starting point guard. So they are slowly getting better and better. Anaconda, Loyola, and Thompson Falls, they're the three teams that are, and if you played those like a round robin tournament and do total points for and total points against, there's not going to be 5 points that separate either team. So those teams, it just depends on who has the best shooting day and who's going to be able to get up there and challenge Big Fork.
Yeah, no, looks gotta love tournament time in Montana.
And I can't, I love that it's in my hometown. Anaconda has been the butt of a lot of jokes, but it is a premier facility. People will love to be here, and the town has grown exponentially within the last 3-4 years. So a lot more restaurants, big new hotel. Anaconda is going to benefit from this huge, and we will be a really good host for these teams coming from out of town.
Yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. What else you got for us?
We always like to talk about some individual kids who don't get a lot of notoriety. I got some great ones for this week. On the Anaconda girls, Larkin Galley, she's a junior, and Hayden Lunsford, she's a freshman. Hayden has since got the starting nod after McKenna went down, and she has continued to get better and better with that experience. Larkin tied a career high with 19 points against Deer Lodge. Hayden, I believe, also had a career high. She had 8 points, number of assists. Defensively, she's really turned it on for Anaconda. So those two, they're 50-50 for me. I had to mention them both. They're two kids that we haven't mentioned on here before, but they really deserve the praise. They've gotten the start ever since then, both of them, and they're the reason why Anaconda continues to stay in that top five, even though they have lost a 25 point, 10 rebound per
Yeah,
game, participant. So those two girls in my mind for Anaconda. For the boys, Billy Farmer, a junior, got the start against Deer Lodge. We were without Wade DeHood. He has a high ankle sprain. Hopefully he can get back soon. But 8 points, 7 rebounds, led the team in rebounds. Hit a deep three and really energized the crowd that helped them get by a tough divisional opponent and an arch rival as well. So Billy Farmer has been doing some good things. He's played a lot off the bench, but getting the start, it was huge for him. And as far as some of the Deer Lodge kids, this girl, she didn't score the most. Taylor Lamb had the most for Deer Lodge. I think she had 18. But Skyla Pearson, she works so hard. I don't remember her playing her sophomore, her junior year, but she played volleyball, and she can absolutely destroy a volleyball. She's a really good volleyball player, really good middle blocker. could probably sneak on to a a lower level Division 2 team or something like that to play volleyball. But she's really talented. She 5 points, 8 rebounds, fouled out early in the fourth quarter. Their bench isn't really deep. So Skylar Pearson, I love watching her play. She plays with a lot of heart, and they needed her this year as a senior to step up and just fill a role, and she's done that and more. So yeah, really watch her. Like watching her. On the boys' side, Hunter Steinbach, 6'4", just a real nice player in the same spot for Deer Lodge, kind of like Deer Lodge and Anaconda. They're rebuilding a little bit from some successes they've had in the recent past. He had a team high 12 points, 9 rebounds. I believe he had a double double the last time Anaconda played against him. So I don't know how many times these divisional opponents and these arch rivalries, a kid falls to the ground, gets hammered. Hunter is a built kid. He is a stout 6'4". I at least 210. Very muscular, very lean, and very aggressive. I don't know how many times he would reach over and pick up an Anaconda kid, and that doesn't happen in this rivalry. Hunter is an A+ individual, and I couldn't imagine having anybody better on your team than a Hunter Steinbach. So they're lucky to have him over there in Deer Lodge.
All right. All right. You got some young kids you wanted to talk about?
This is one thing that we don't get to talk about too much. And Southwest Montana has had some really great free throw shooters, really great shooters that have went on to the National Elks Hoop Shoot. But last weekend it was handled or held down at Livingston. And some local kids did really well. Kate Feenstra out of Dillon, she made 15 of 25 girls and eighth and 9 year olds. And the boys 8 and 9, Jace Graham, some Graham kid from Butte. His dad might coach Frontier basketball over there. I don't know. But Jace Graham won 25 out of 25 as an 8 and 9 year old. My kids can't even hit the net shooting from the free throw line. I mean, it's everywhere. At 8 and 9 to shoot 25 at 25. That kid is really talented. Matthew Nasser of Wolf Point had 21. That's enough to
Yeah.
be great in any other tournament. But and the girls 10th and 11, Lena Rivas from Glendive, she won over Quinn Feenstra in overtime. She made 16 out of 25 and then made 5 of 5 to win her chance to go back in the national tournament. Maverick Murphy of Glendive made 23 of 25 in the boys 10 and 11-year-old. Ramsey Pryor of Miles City, 24 of 25 in the girls 12 and 13. Ellison Graham, the daughter, the youngest daughter, I believe. I think they have three.
Yep. Yep.
She made 21 of 25. So, her big sister just happened to score 18 points in a AA basketball game as an eighth grader a couple weeks ago. So, or it was last week. It was last week.
Yep. Yep.
And then boys 12 and 13, Michael Gaylord of Belt made 22 of 25. So when you talk about kids that we're going to be talking about here in the next couple years, these are fun to just put off to the side and go back and look and say, oh, yeah, free throws are kind of important. And these guys know
Yes.
how to do it best.
Yeah. No, it's there's been some kids from around this area, some kids from Big Timber that have gone on and done very well with that too. And it's a great program, and it's going back to coaching days, I'll tell you what, free throws are a nightmare. Do you try to help kids? Do you change them? It's just there's a lot of mental to shooting free throws. They have to do it. They have to do it the same every time, and build a rhythm and confidence. But yeah, you talk about the Grahams cadence or cadence. I'm not sure just which one it is. You kind of I didn't think about this, but great topic. She's an eighth grader. Played, as you said, scored 18 points for Butte High. Not only against playing for Butte High, but they were playing crosstown rival Butte Central in the Civic Center on the Big Four, big stage for an eighth grader. And I think she did lead the team in scoring with 18 points.
And
But
goes out
it's
there, yeah, and goes out there against a girl who's going to be playing for dad
Yeah,
next year. So there's that little
yeah,
give and take. But before we got on, this is the best decision that I believe the MHSA has made in terms of participation in a long time. Letting those eighth graders get up there and participate, not necessarily at the varsity level when it used to how it used to be. They get to get up there and participate in the younger levels if they're able to. If there's a need for your C squad to get better, just to fill those ranks to where those the biggest thing with small schools is there's a lot of times where Anaconda will go and can only play 4 quarters or 2 quarters in
two
JV
quarters.
and 2 quarters,
Yeah,
yeah, and because there's just not enough kids. Having the eighth graders be able to get up there and play, that will give all the other kids the possibility to, play more. And that really is the biggest thing is getting out and actually being able to play, compete, and get better by competing against other people. Because a lot of these teams, even some of the best teams, even some of the biggest teams in Class B, even in Class A, they don't have those feeders to where you can actually get a really good look during your practices. So it's big to be able to fill those courts and fill your gymnasiums with kids. And hey, it's a revenue generating sport. The more people you can pack in the fans, or the more fans you can pack in the stands, it makes it all worthwhile. So I
yeah.
do have one more wish, and I wish the MHSA would do this. And I saw it happen when I was at the N7 game over in Missoula, is get the halo in the key. It will
Yeah,
help the officials so much more, because how
yeah,
many 50-50 calls do you see that happen on breaks underneath the rim? If the official had the ability to gauge on the run if that person was under the halo or over the halo, the officiating would be better, and there would be very few questions when those sorts of things came up. So you put a shot clock up that cost tens of thousands of dollars for every gymnasium. Go out, spend $2.50 on tape and paint, and put that sucker in the key.
yeah. I agree with you. In fact, I said probably 5 years ago that the halo would come in before the shot clocks. I really thought it would, but and me doing a lot of college games, it's so cut and dried.
Yep.
You know, it's the one thing that is kind of bad. There's some gyms right now that have two halos on the floor, and I've seen it's kind of like having 3 point lines painted on your floor.
Right.
It gets a little confusing, but the majority of your high schools don't have a line on them right now anyway. So
Right.
it would be I would like to see that too, just for that reason. But yeah, I'm kind of curious to see, and I'm gonna get a hold of Lowell Peterson. I think he might know if there's how many eighth graders are actually playing in Double A sports, basketball anyway, this year. I know the Billings schools voted that they would not allow eighth graders to come up as a district wide vote, I believe. But it'd be interesting to see just how many there actually are. The only thing that I say against the eighth graders, not really against it. I think they need an asterisk by their name in the state records. Um,
100%.
it's a big advantage. You get if you go to state, you get 25 games. If you're averaging 20 a game, those points add up and rebounds add up, assists add up, and all that. But I definitely think that there needs to be an asterisk put next to those names that the kids that played in the eighth grade.
I agree.
What else you got, Blake?
Final shout out, the
Final
first
shout out.
girls divisional championship. The wrestling girls, our girls wrestling team goes up to the Western BC and earns their first divisional championship in their third year of existence. And it's only the second overall divisional wrestling championship out of Anaconda. So good stuff for those girls. I have one of the girls that's an employee here with me at my shop here at Anno Design. So I like to give her a little grief. She was in here eating a salad today, and I kind of said something disparaging and say, "Hey, You better not eat all that stuff. You still got to make weight this Thursday when you get down there to Billings. And of course, she knows how to respond to me. But yeah, she let me hear it a little bit. But no, really good stuff. Anytime you can bring home a trophy and hang a banner,
Yep.
that's great.
Yep.
Good for those
That is
girls.
great. That is great. Well, thanks for coming on today, and we'll get back to you next week.
Sounds good. Divisional
All
time.
right. And I'd like to thank our guests that come on the show and talk about Montana high school sports. Without them, this show would not be possible. And once again, if you like this podcast, please click on the subscribe button below to get alerts when we have up a new podcast.